Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's video, I just want to do a quick speaker wrap up. Over the last 6 weeks or so, I reviewed a few sets of speakers, and one of these speakers I decided to acquire, to keep here in my reference system. And I also made one little change to that system. I'll talk about that here in a minute, but I want to do a quick wrap up of these speakers in case anyone out there is looking for a set of speakers. I currently have the Buchardt E50s here. These are a bookshelf speaker. These are Buchardt's highest end speaker to date. They've been working on this for years. Check out this speaker, tongue and groove construction, Purify woofers. This is a speaker I'll be reviewing very soon. It's not going to be in this wrap up, but I want you guys to know I have a review coming very soon of the Buchardt E50 bookshelf speaker. Let's get to this wrap up now. 6-7 weeks ago, I reviewed the Triangle Borea BR4. Now these are $500, $550 speakers. They're a little taller than your standard usual bookshelf speaker. So the BR4s follow the success of the BR3s, which were a huge speaker for Triangle. And they were a huge speaker because they didn't cost a fortune and they sounded really, really good. The BR4s up the performance of the BR3s with a little bit more bass presence, more clarity in the midband, and a fully non-fatiguing tweeter experience. So overall, the Triangle Borea BR4s are outstanding in their clarity in the mid-range and their smooth treble performance. Now the bass is not going to blow you out of the room. These don't go down the 20 hertz, but what bass is there is pretty pleasant, and you don't really feel like you need a subwoofer when you're listening to these, especially in a small to medium room. If you're looking for a set of smaller speakers that sound really good, look really good, and they're not going to break the bank, take a look at the Triangle Borea BR4s. Now moving along, another speaker company from France, Diptyque. I was able to review the Diptyque 115s. Now the Diptyques are flat panel, planar magnetic speakers, and the front and back panel is steel. These are heavy speakers, and they came to me from tmraudio.com. Thank you to the Music Room for sending these out for review. When I received them, I basically pulled them out of the crates, attached the metal steel stand to the bottom, and set them up in the room. The sound was breathtaking, actually, from these speakers. The transparency was the star of the show. The massive room-filling sound. Now, if you sit in the sweet spot with the Diptyque 115s, you're going to be in for a treat. You're going to be presented with a beautiful sound stage, some of the best imaging I've heard from any speaker ever, but these are the traits of planar magnetic designs. The weaknesses of planar magnetic designs have always been the lower bass and the amps needed to power them. The good news is the Diptyques run really, really well with 100, 150 watts per channel is all you're going to need. You're not going to have to power these with 5, 6, 800 watts per channel. In my room, 13 by 18 space, I did not feel I needed a sub at all with the Diptyques. But for those seeking that extra super low frequency of bass, you'll probably want to add some anyway. Where the Diptyque 115s, the weakness for me in the Diptyques was the mid-range. While beautiful with the human voice, there was a lack of punch in the mid, so don't expect a big beefy presence. Now to some, this is a plus because it means a clearer mid-range. To others, it's a weakness because you have less of that mid-bass punch. So for certain music like metal, rock, that kind of music, you're missing out a little bit on that slam in the mid-bass with the Diptyques. But other than that, they're much easier to drive than a Magnepan, and I really didn't feel the need for a sub. Vocals are beautiful. The clarity and transparency is on another level. They look really cool in the room. They come in different sizes. You can go smaller than the 115s, and you can go quite a bit bigger. The Music Room is the authorized dealer in the United States here for online sales. So if you're interested in a speaker like that, check them out. Another speaker I reviewed here was the Audio Icon 12s. Now, these speakers blew me away. Not only blew me away, but they blew my wife away. She wanted to make a video appearance right in the beginning because she really loved the Icon 12s. The cabinet of the Icon 12s is sculpted and angled in a beautiful way. The ports are on the side rather than the front, the back, or down below. These just put off a beautiful presence in the room, and everyone who has seen them in my room asked me where they came from, and they sat down and listened to them and were blown away. Now, these are a horn design in the treble, so they have a horn-loaded tweeter, and they have that big 12-inch bass driver below. These are rated into the 90s for efficiency, so they're very easy to drive. These are some of the most impressive speakers I've come across in a long, long time. And while they are very expensive, I think these come in at around $23,000, so they're a little bit more than I originally thought. These are just speakers that you can spend the rest of your days with. If you're looking for a retirement system, the Icon 12s are beautiful. In my 13 by 18 space, they just put out an effortless presence of music. As I said in the review, they can go from a whisper to a roar, and it's effortless. They have a warm, leaning, full-bodied sound. The treble will never, ever aggravate your ears or brain. They are totally non-fatiguing and supremely musical. These are speakers that I could spend the rest of my days with without question. The Audio Icon 12, the Audio, I'm still not saying it right, Icon 12s are full endgame speakers if you value that type of thing. They're not about being the most transparent and the most crystalline speakers. They are more about bringing soul, the soul of the music, the body, the life of the music into your listening room. They are mightily impressive speakers. If you're interested in those, be sure to check out my full review, and I'll have a link in the description below to the Audio website as well. So another set of speakers that I reviewed just over the past several weeks or so came from Poland. These are the Closer Acoustics Oko and the Bob Mark IIs. They call them blocks now because that's basically what this speaker system is. It's comprised of different blocks. You have your feet, your isoacoustics feet. You have your stand, your platform, right? And then you have the blocks. You have blanks, which have nothing in them, which just serve as a platform or a stand. You have the Bob Mark IIs, which are now refined with the control box built in, and you can add as many of those as you like. Well, I think 1 or 2 is what the configuration is. You also have the new Oko, which is the big voice block, right? And you can use that in place of the little Augie that I reviewed a year or 2 ago with this system. Now, this system versus the Bob and Augie Mark I is instantly more refined. They fixed some of the issues. They now have a top on them. There's little pins that hold everything in place. And the sound is more refined with that Oko driver. The bass is stunning. These are all open baffle units. These produce probably some of the best sound I've ever heard. It competes really well with that Icon 12 in the sound department. But for me, being a reviewer, the weakness was for me having to move all the blocks every time a new set of speakers came in for review. You know, it takes some time, and I have a smaller kind of room, and I don't have a ton of places to put all this excess gear. So while beautiful in sound and unique in looks, and very unique in the way that you can assemble your own block system, you might only need or want 1 Bob and 1 Oko. You might want 2 Bobs and an Augie. You might want the platform with the feet, a blank, a Bob, and an Oko. There's different ways you can go depending on your wants, your needs, and the size of your room. Closer Acoustics is doing some really, really cool things. And I really love the Bob system with the Augie and the Oko. If I didn't do reviews and I just had a room I needed a set of speakers in that looked and sounded awesome, I would really have my eyes on the Oko and Bobs, because they're not one of those speakers that come in at $20,000. You can get a full set here with the new Oko for under $10K, and they just sound sublime, beautiful, again, rich and musical. Very, very nice open baffle kind of sound. So moving along, I also reviewed another set of speakers from Poland, and these were very unique, using 1,200-year-old black oak wood in the design. Now, these are trees that have fallen hundreds of years ago. So some people make furniture out of this wood, this black oak wood, and these panels are nice and thin, so they're perfect to be used in a speaker. Now, these came from EposSound in Poland. These are the Deimos Red Millennium Black Oak Towers, and they look absolutely stunning because they are made from resin and that black oak wood that has been dug out of the ground and dead for hundreds of years. So this is a very unique looking speaker. It's also a very unique sounding speaker. It doesn't sound like your typical audiophile speaker. It doesn't sound like an open baffle speaker. It has a rich, mid-bass, plentiful kind of presentation. The tweeter is a soft dome tweeter. It sounds really, really nice. It's a little bit relaxed, but it has plenty of detail there on tap as well. But the mid-bass is very prevalent. So you have a lot of that, so rock, metal, dance music, hip hop, that kind of music. These speakers sound awesome with. Now, they also sound great with jazz vocals, for example, and the imaging with the vocals come out dead center. You have that nice phantom center image, right? So everything sounds really, really good. They're just not as refined sounding as your $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 speakers, and that's to be expected. These speakers can fill a room with nice, big sounding music. They sound very big. They sound very rich, and they sound very detailed, but they have that mid-bass bump going on. They sound really, really cool. They also come with spiked feet, but you can replace those feet with IsoAcoustics feet very, very easily. Just screw them on in. So the EposSound speakers are one of a kind in looks. Each pair will be unique, and they sound really, really, really nice, guys. So those are just the speakers I reviewed over the last 6-7 weeks. I currently have the Buchardt E50s here that I've been enjoying, and these bring a nice clear sound. They still have a little bit of that Buchardt character, a little bit of that warmth in the mid-range, but these are as open and clean and clear as I've ever heard a speaker from Buchardt. The bass is pretty awesome. I can't wait to do the review of these in the next week or so. I also have a review coming for some amps that are overdue. I was supposed to do it last week. So those are the speakers that I reviewed over the last couple of months. What about the speakers I currently own? How do all those stack up to my Pure Audio Project Duet 15s, which are, again, open baffle speakers? Now, I've bonded with my Duet 15s. These are $7,000, $8,000 retail. They look unique and they sound beautiful. They sound really, really, really incredible for that price. And they bring that open baffle vibe, which is what you would expect it to be. Very open and room filling, but yet very good on the details. The imaging is beautiful. It's just there in the room. As I've said, I'm not going to ever sell my Duet 15s. I just think they're awesome speakers to have around. They're very easy to move in and out of place. Once you put them together, they're rock solid and they just perform. They sound really, really good with almost any amp I've plugged into them, with any DAC, with any streamer. They just have a really, really good human connection kind of sound. But I did add another set of speakers to the system, and it's one of the ones I recently reviewed. So the speakers that I've been trying really hard to acquire over the last few weeks since I've received them are the Audio Icon 12s. If you saw that review, you would see they were my wife's favorite speakers. You would see where I said, as far as speakers coming through here to me, they are probably the finest I've ever experienced. Now, no, they're not the most cleanly detailed or sharp sounding speakers. They are not the most supremely transparent speakers, but they do everything that I love really, really well. They have that warmth and body. They have the flowy, airy treble that's not aggressive, but yet you can get those airy details. It has powerful bass when it's in the recording. These speakers aren't going to fill every song with an inflated bass, but when it's in the recording, it can really jar you and startle you. You're like, wow, I never heard that before like that. So they do everything from top to bottom really well. They also look amazing and they're very easy to drive. Again, they sound beautiful with any amp I've powered them with, whether they were exotic or the very affordable type. Now, some amps do sound better than others with the Icon 12s, like with any speaker, but I think I found the sweet spot. So I basically managed to sell off my HD DAC X. I paid off my HD Pre and Classic amp, and I managed to acquire the Audio Icon 12. So they're joining the stable here with the Pure Audio Project Duet 15s, which will be my open baffle reference for when I review and compare gear. I'll now have the Audio Icon 12s here as my main reference speakers for boxed, bigger speakers. And I'll eventually add a set of bookshelf speakers that will be my reference bookshelf, all for review comparison purposes. Now in the system, I have the Nagra HD preamp, the Classic amp. I'm using the Nagra Streamer, thanks to unveiledaudio.com. They have those in stock. I think they have them in stock right now. And I'm now using the Live Harmony Micro DAC, at least for the time being, but that Live Harmony Micro DAC sounds awesome. It sounds beautiful with those Icon 12 speakers within that whole setup. So yeah, that's basically my system now. I picked the Icon 12s. My wife didn't want to let them go. I didn't want to let them go. And to me, it was worth reconfiguring everything to keep them in place. So I want to thank Audio, and I will have these here for quite a while along with the Duet 15s and my electronics here for review purposes, as well as my personal enjoyment. I don't know how many nights I sit in there and I listen to the Icon 12s, and they just feed my soul with music. So very, very, very beautiful speakers. So yeah, that's the wrap up. Now, those speakers I talked about that I reviewed over the last couple of months, some of them might be better for some of you than others. Like some of you may like the Diptyque 115s better than the Icon 12s. Some of you may like the Pure Audio Projects better than the Icon 12s. Some of you may be looking for something that's more affordable. In that case, the Borea BR4s are some of the finest affordable bookshelves I've ever encountered, if not the finest. So there's something for everyone in that list if you're someone looking for speakers right now. And there's more stuff incoming here that I have on the way right now. So lots coming. If you like this video, thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment below if you want to talk about it. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.